Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a viral commentary by Erin Molan, where she dissects a completely tense interview between Elon Musk and an editor from The Economist. We're going to map out the ideological fault lines between new wealth and legacy media. We'll be looking closely at how modern narratives are actually shaped, who gets to shape them, and what happens when massive digital platforms collide head-on with traditional journalistic institutions. Here is the roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the Musk versus media clash. Then, we'll dive into the debate over UK crime narratives. Third, redefining the far right. Fourth, the right to global influence. And finally, a spotlight on Mayor Panem.
Section 1. The Musk versus media clash. So, who do people actually loathe more?
Right out of the gate, the interviewer challenges Musk directly. She literally suggests that his immense power and constant use of superlatives generate widespread public loathing. She brings this assertion right to his face, presenting it as a widely held sentiment that his influence is, well, fundamentally unhelpful to Western democracy.
Now, instead of getting defensive, Musk uses a mirror technique. He completely rejects her premise and flips the accusation right back onto the press. He essentially argues, hey, I don't play in the same game as you, suggesting that the media as an institution is actually far more hated by the public than they even realize.
Commentator Erin Molan frames this whole exchange by arguing the editor's approach was a massive, ego-driven own goal against arguably the most successful man in the world. Molan points out that if you're gonna interview Elon Musk, you really have to leave your ego at the door. In her view, coming across as condescending to someone with Musk's unprecedented level of global success, well, it just means he won't play ball. He'll just call you out right to your face.
Section 2. Debating UK crime narratives, focusing on perspectives on safety and immigration.
This creates a really sharp dialectical clash. The editor relies heavily on falling crime stats, arguing that London is actually much safer than US cities and that Musk is painting a completely false, terrifying picture of a destroyed civilization. Musk, on the other hand, approaches it from a totally different angle, a demographic perspective. He argues that importing groups of people with views antithetical to Western beliefs makes future conflict pretty much inevitable, so they are essentially looking at two completely different realities to describe the exact same country.
The interviewer then presses Musk on a specific, highly provocative post he made on X, accusing him of shaping a terrifying and frankly false view of Europe for his American audience. She points out that he hasn't physically been to the UK in a few years, suggesting he lives this sort of cloistered existence and is using his massive platform to irresponsibly convince millions of Americans that the UK is somehow overrun with violence.
The friction really escalates when the editor accuses Musk of irresponsibly promoting a film called Citizen Vigilante. She describes this as a dystopian movie that glorifies vigilante violence and murder against a Muslim immigrant family. But Musk neutrally defends it. He admits, it's not a fun or even particularly good movie, but he defends his right to post it, simply stating it's just a movie he considers worth watching. This whole back and forth perfectly highlights their completely differing views on what the responsibility of a platform owner actually is.
Section 3. Redefining the far right and shifting the political center.
So the editor accuses Musk of supporting far-right fringes and fringe political parties globally. Musk flatly rejects this label. He counters that what the media categorizes as far-right is actually just the baseline view of normal, everyday people, calling the media's characterization absolute nonsense.
To justify this stance, Musk posits a theory of the shifting center. He basically argues that the political center of gravity has shifted so far left that traditional views are now totally mischaracterized as fringe. He claims that if you took a completely standard speech by Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton from 10 or 15 years ago and presented it blindly today, the far left would condemn it as the worst thing ever. Interestingly, the interviewer actually briefly concedes that the Democratic Party has indeed shifted left, although she definitely maintains her critique of Musk's current political alignments.
Musk points to three very specific policies to make his case: secure borders, safe cities, and sensible spending. He then challenges the media to explain how on earth any of those can be considered far-right. He argues these are simply the tenets of a functioning society. Later in her commentary, Erin Molan jumps on this exact moment, praising his defense as pure common sense that, in her view, proves just how far removed the mainstream media is from everyday reality.
Section 4. The right to global influence. We're talking borders, megaphones, and the right to care.
Just think about this number for a second. 250 million.
Musk uses his massive audience of roughly 250 million followers on X to validate his popularity and his platform's immense global reach. So when the editor tells him he's loathed by the public, he points directly to this staggering number as democratic proof that far more people like him than hate him. I mean, that's practically the population of a large country.
But the editor directly challenges Musk's authority here. She questions his right to even weigh in on UK and European affairs, given that he hasn't been there in years. Her argument rests on a very traditional view of geographic jurisdiction. Basically, if you don't live in a place and you exist in what she calls a cloistered existence, you shouldn't be using a digital megaphone to shape its internal politics.
Molan fiercely defends Musk's right, and inherently her own right, to comment on foreign powers. As an Australian commentator who often discusses American and global politics, she argues that in our hyper-connected world, the prosperity, survival, and strength of powerful nations directly impact absolutely everyone else. Her core point is pretty simple. Geopolitical borders do not restrict a person's right to care or their right to speak out about global events.
Section 5. Spotlight on Mayor Panim. A look at Erin Molan's charitable focus.
Molan then shifts gears to highlight that the organization Mayor Panim provides over 650,000 warm meals each year in Israel to those in need. She takes time to directly thank her audience for their ongoing support and donations to this specific cause, getting noticeably emotional about the screenshots her viewers have sent her showing their personal contributions.
She details the specific, heartbreaking struggles currently facing Israeli families. She speaks about how nothing works the way it used to in the aftermath of recent events. Businesses are collapsing, young people are joining the military, there's widespread grief, and financial struggles are leading directly to child hunger. She ends her commentary by urging her audience to continue giving, emphasizing that no matter the size of the donation, it helps alleviate the reality of parents looking into their hungry children's eyes.
As we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with a core question about this evolving landscape of power. On one side, legacy media demands accountability and geographic expertise. On the other, individuals with unprecedented wealth and digital reach claim to speak for the normal person. So, what do you think? In the digital age, who truly holds the authority to shape global politics? Traditional institutions or the individuals holding the microphone? Thanks for tuning in, and keep questioning the narrative.